I guess you're right, and there's nothing I will say to you this time.
So Owen decided to go along with this, even though he was probably very reluctant. And so what happened was, Owen was going along with the stunt. And normally when you do this stunt, there is a second rope, a second wire, that is kind of a fallback, just in case something goes wrong with the first one. Some people will see with Sting, he wears like 2 harnesses. I believe he uses 2 ropes, just in case. But because the WWE wanted him to be unhitched and do the walk and 3 steps and fall, it's like bam, 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 all done. Come down, unhitch, and do the 3 steps and fall instantaneously, like in one solid kind of movement. They didn't want to have him fiddling around with the backup wiring. So they had Owen just come down on a single wire with a hitch that was only meant to hold 8 pounds of pressure, apparently. They did a practice of it, it worked. Owen wasn't real comfortable with doing the stunt, but he went along with it because he figured it was better than any of the other options that were given to him. So Owen went up on that fateful day with no backup harness, no backup protection, and as everybody knows, there's a belief that something went wrong. Probably the one that I've heard is that his cape was choking him a bit, so he gave it a pull. He was caught in the hitch, and the hitch opened, and he fell. Now I'm of the belief, and some people agree with me, and idiots don't, because you'd have to be an idiot not to believe this, or a non-union scab worker, that Vince McMahon is responsible for Owen's death. And here's why. Vince McMahon, or people representing Vince McMahon, asked Owen to do the stunt. Now, granted, Owen agreed to do it. But Vince McMahon is the employer. Vince McMahon is obligated to ensure a safe working environment for everybody under his watch. Owen Hart was under his watch. He did not make sure that the job of hitching up the wires was competently handled. There was no reason for Owen Hart to even be on those wires. They could have used a stuntman, and a veteran stuntman would have known that there was no way he should have been doing that. He could have had Owen hiding under the ring in a matching blue blazer costume. A stuntman comes down on the wires, does the trick, falls down, 3 or 4 steps, falls on his face. Then he gets up, has a bit of a shoving match with the Godfather. Godfather knocks him on his butt, so he rolls out of the ring. Godfather chases him around the ring. Owen, the stuntman blue blazer, goes under the ring. Godfather pulls out Owen. Match goes on from there. Nobody dies. Isn't that amazing? I figured out a scenario that his lordship, Emperor McMahon, couldn't come up with. He's not much of a genius after all. In fact, he's kind of an asshole, because none of this has anything to do with a wrestling match. Owen coming down on a wire has nothing to do with a wrestling match. It looked cool when Shawn Michaels came down on the rope at WrestleMania when he wrestled Bret Hart. But the point is that had nothing to do with the wrestling match. The match was still great anyways with Shawn and Bret. But what Owen was asked to do had nothing to do with wrestling. It had nothing to do with it, and he never should have been asked to do it, because Owen was a wrestler. He was one of the best wrestlers that ever got in the ring. And Vince McMahon, instead of using his in-ring talents to their fullest, his abilities on the mic, which were fantastic, his abilities, and the overall as an in-ring performer, instead of using them to their fullest potential, he decided to use Owen to get back at Bret by humiliating him. And what started out as just a simple, basically, shot at revenge turned into something horrific, and I do not think that it was intentional. I want to make that perfectly clear. But it was Vince McMahon's responsibility to ensure the safety of Owen Hart at all times while under his employment, and he did not. From the minute Owen showed up at that arena till the minute Owen left the arena, his well-being, as far as the wrestling side of things went, as far as the business of the WWF went, meaning anything that had to do with what he was going to do that night for the wrestling show, Vince McMahon was responsible to ensure his safety, and he didn't. Vince McMahon did not look into this particular stunt and what was needed for it to be done properly. He even said that in a press conference afterwards, after Over the Edge, or a couple of days after Over the Edge, when Martha Hart said that she was going to sue the WWE and the people who produced who were in charge of the harnesses and everything. Vince McMahon said that he knew nothing about this particular type of stunt and how it worked. Well, he should have found out before he expected Owen Hart to do it, because I can damn well tell you that if Shane McMahon had been doing that stunt and he fell, there would have been no way Vince McMahon would have kept Over the Edge going. It would have stopped right there. Everything would have stopped. Maybe the Jarrett match would have happened, but the minute they found out Shane died, that would have been the end of that event. It would have stopped, and that proves what a cold, shitty bastard Vince McMahon is, and that he is responsible for the death of Owen Hart, because even though it was an accident, that doesn't mean that there isn't an accountability, and Vince McMahon, as his employer, being an irresponsible son of a bitch, is responsible for the death of Owen Hart. And I don't give a fuck if you like it or not.